World War II, the most oversaturated, milked, tired out war ever. It's practically a Call of Duty game, but it has a lot of events that people couldn't solve. Some popular ones, like was Die Glock real, Flight 19's disappearance, or Raoul Wallenberg's fate? And then some lesser ones, like the Victor Goddard incident, the real identity of Tokyo Rose, and the Hanyo Masamune disappears that fucking sword. Jesus, I didn't look for the pronunciation. But some of these, like World War II, are just tired out. And a lot of World War II mysteries are just disappeared flights, disappeared submarines, and that kind of gets in the way of the cool stuff. The Deadly Double Ad is predictive programming at its finest. Genuinely. But what is this ad? A magazine came out in 1941, and unfortunately, it was not a Hustler. Sorry to inform you. It was a New Yorker magazine, and inside the magazine there was an ad for a board game called The Deadly Double. People saw this about 2 weeks before the attack on Pearl Harbor happened, so people took this as a warning that the attack on Pearl Harbor was going to happen. Now there were multiple ads, but two stood out. The first ad was front page. The ad said, Achtung! Warning, alert. That's my best German. Along with the ad came a picture of two die. One had the numbers 0, 5, and 7. The second one had the numbers 12, 24, and Roman numeral XX, or 20. The bottom of the ad told the reader to go to page 86 along with the name Monarch Publishing Company, New York. The second ad was when someone would turn to page 86, they would find a bigger ad with the same words of the first ad. Right? Achtung! Warning! Alert! Jesus, I wonder what that's gonna sound like for me. Along with this were drawings of what people perceived to be an air raid, people in bunkers playing dice, and a double-headed eagle. And then the ad had said, my phone actually says read first part of the ad. I actually have to find the ad now, Jesus Christ. We hope you'll never have to spend a long winter's night in an air raid shelter. But we were just thinking, it's only common sense to be prepared. If you're not too busy between now and Christmas, why not sit down and plan a list of things you'll want to have on hand, along with a list of items to prepare for an air raid. Now people think there was a conspiracy here, because smaller ads were featured with the numbers 12 and 7, which aren't available on normal die, whatever the fuck. Then, on December 7th, right 12/7, the attack on Pearl Harbor went down. Can you imagine that? The FBI actually got involved in this, and then they thought that either a Japanese sympathizer or a spy might have put the ad in the papers to warn people against this incoming attack, and that the numbers 12 and 7 kept showing up, so they thought this was a coded message on what day this attack was supposed to go down, and that the other numbers and the Roman numerals XX or 20, along with the double-headed eagle, were a code to find out the identity of who the person who put this ad was. Then the bigger ad had drawings of bomber planes, once again a thought to be reference to the attack and what it was going to be. Then the words deadly double were thought to be referring to Nazi Germany and Japan, and the double-headed eagle was thought to be a reference to Hitler's Third Reich symbol, right, his COD emblem, essentially. The FBI then investigated the company on the ad, right, Monarch Trading Company of Chicago, and it's found that that company had only existed for a couple of weeks prior to the ad being shown. Then it was thought that Monarch was just a dummy company. Then there's an account of Navy transport pilot Joseph Bell, who had been assigned to investigate what this was, right? He had a friend who had told him about this exact thing, and their investigation led to literally fucking nothing. Like literally, they searched everywhere for this game and just couldn't fucking find it. Then a man named Roger P. Craig was tracked down, and they believe that he put the ad there. And that he did. In 1942, LA Times' Chapin Hall had found Roger P. Craig and then questioned him about what had happened. Then Craig admitted to putting the ads there, but then dismissed the connection to Pearl Harbor itself. U.S. Intelligence Officer Las Islas Farago, I really hope I said that right because fuck this name. But Farago had been really adamant that there was a connection here, and he stated that 12 and 7 indicated when the attack could happen, and then 5 and 0 indicated what time, possibly 5 in the morning, although that's wrong, because apparently the attack went down sometime at 7, just before 8 in the morning. And then the Roman numeral XX, or 20, meant the approximate latitude. Then that's also wrong, because apparently it's like 24 or something. Then this happened in 1967, and it was the last time the Deadly Double ad had been mentioned publicly. There's a fucking plot twist. Why? Because the game did exist. The game was legitimately sold in stores, apparently. So, Ben and Amory of the Endless Thread podcast made a piece that covered this entire thing, and it mentioned a Reddit post, lol, that shows an actual physical board game of the Deadly Double thing itself. And the person who posted it said that their grandparents had it, but they knew nothing else. They mentioned many things in their podcast, such as questions about the board game, right? Like, how many were sold? Did Monarch actually exist? And who the fuck played it? But at least 3 physical copies of this game exist, right? The original posters. Then Kevin Cook, record holder for the largest dice collection. Save some pussy for the rest of us, boy. He officially has the dice, but not the board game itself. And then Kevin Cook claimed that one of his friend, another dice collector, has another pair of dice from this game. These guys, man, just hogging all the pussy, I swear to God. Then the man who was tracked down, Roger P. Craig, apparently worked for the OSS, right? I forgot what this stood for. The OSS, the precursor to the CIA, some sort of intelligence service? I've gone over this, it's just, I completely forgot what the fuck the OSS was. But because of this, people think that he had some sort of hand in intelligence already. But the thing is, on one hand, this kind of doesn't mean anything. But then on the other hand, why would the OSS hire a fucking board game maker? Right, but let me set something straight first though. The OSS didn't come into existence until after Pearl Harbor had happened. So he wasn't some sort of agent at the time of this ad becoming a thing. It's just because of this connection, people seem to think that he is an agent who put this here to warn everyone, or some sort of whistleblower kind of thing. That part, not true. Right, but his wife had came out and tried setting the record straight, and that this game was not connected to Pearl Harbor in any way possible, and was just very adamant about it. And then she was the one who apparently said that Craig was in the OSS. So, just letting you know, OSS happened after this, okay? So he couldn't have been in the OSS at the time of this happening. Then an article by Snopes came out, and it quote-unquote debunks this situation. But it's mainly based on the denials of the creators, right? Craig's wife, and then Craig himself. So, that's good, but it's not good enough. Now I did a lot more research into this because I don't believe in coincidences.
Coincidence? I think not!
Right, I've been a theorist for like the last 10 years. Right, keep in mind I'm only like 22, but I know the secrets of the universe. Right, our world is an energetic field in which our thoughts create our 3D reality. Aliens are actually demons. Ashley Betcher does like me too, but is too shy to admit it. Mythologies are just human dramatizations of interplanetary events. Right, none of this shit is getting past me. Right, so let's look at the Pearl Harbor theories themselves. 1. President Franklin D. Roosevelt and Winston Churchill knew an attack was coming and let it happen. This is the popular one, essentially. This is helped by something known as the WINS Code, which was a series of Japanese warnings intercepted by the US in which Japan threatened to attack if diplomatic solutions between the US and Japan could not be reached. Tokyo had reportedly sent a message on November 5th, 1941, setting a date for diplomatic completion on November 25th, 1941. And then they hit them with the or else kind of thing. Now, many intelligence officers were actually confused as to what these messages were supposed to be, or if they were even sent. But let's just give them the benefit of the doubt that they were sent. And then it said that Navy intelligence officers were prohibited from testifying to congressional committees after the war, so that this whole situation could be swept under the rug, essentially. Then the biggest part about this is that it's believed that the US received 3 messages. 2 are known, and a third, called the WINS Execute message, is thought to have been intercepted. That this thing supposedly announced the start of war with Japan. Like, the Japanese announced that they were going to go to war with the US. So, I probably worded that wrong, but there you go. The second part of this is a declassified naval memo that states Japan was paying attention particularly to the West Coast and it's dated to December 4th, 1941. The memo had been published in a book called December 1941, 31 Days That Changed America and Saved the World. Dramatic as fuck. The second one, Churchill knew about the attack, and then he didn't tell Roosevelt. Multiple Japanese ciphers had been broken by the MI6 and the US, right? MI6 officer James Rusbridger? Hope I said that right. He had co-authored a book with James Nave, who broke a Japanese cipher. They endorsed this exact theory in their book. Then there are many claims that Churchill withheld info about the Japanese attack and then knew about the planned attack on the US by mid-November. And then another claim that Churchill knew a Japanese fleet left port on November 26 in 1941 to an unknown location. So the theory of Winston Churchill knowing this attack was going to happen is pretty popular as well. It should also be known that Roosevelt was sympathetic towards the Allies and wanted to start war against Germany, but knew the American public was against it. And, like I said, it's believed Roosevelt and Churchill let this attack happen because either Churchill wanted to secure the US's participation in the war, or Roosevelt just wanted to go to war, or both. But does anything add up? Okay. Let's look at the dates for everything mentioned, right? The Deadly Double Ad. It supposedly came out in November 22nd, 1941, right? The Winds Code started in November 5th, 1941. Churchill knowing about the Japanese fleet leaving happened in November 26, 1941. Then the Naval Memo, December 4th, 1941. Right, the craziest fucking part that adds up, the ad showed up on November 22nd. Diplomatic solution that Tokyo wanted was supposed to end, or at least happen by, November 25th. Right, that's the end date. That's where everything caps. Right, what's the day after? The day after, November 26th, Japanese fleet leaves. There's a fucking pattern here. If the US knew an attack was imminent, predictive programming could have come into play in order for, to get the public's mind on the idea of going to war. So, you do this, and then you save yourself by making an ad with these ideas, actually sell the product, and then hire the creator to the OSS. Right, there's just some unanswered questions that really fucked us over though. Like, how many games were made? What did Roger P. Craig do before the OSS? Or did Roger P. Craig make any other board games, or just the one? And then why the fuck would the OSS hire what seems to be a random person? But we can't answer these. We just can't. So we're just left at a weird dead end. But there's also a lot of things here that are just either wrong or just third-party claims, like the Roman numeral 20 being the latitude of the attack. Like I said, it's either 24. Some people say 21, I think. It's one of those two. And then Churchill withholding knowledge about Japan's attack. But then just the most depressing thing about this is just the fact that it's a board game and nobody fucking cares. Like, I can see why, right? Because it just kind of... How do I put it? It leads nowhere, right? And then, like, either this is too obscure or really no one fucking cares. Because there's, like, no YouTube videos on this. There's, like, 4 articles only. And then there's, like, 3 physical copies. But we can only see one of them. I don't know. It's so weird. There should be more here. But there isn't. No matter what you do, you just hit a dead end. That sucks. Anyways, that's it for me. That's it for this fucking ad that leads nowhere. But it's so weird. It's so ominous. I wish there was more, but there just isn't. Fuck. That's the best way to put it. It's a dead end. But anyways, bye.